Welcome back to the Highly Sensitive Podcast. I'm Lauren LaSalle. If this is your first time here, thank you for listening. I hope you'll get a lot out of this podcast and this episode. If you are a returning listener, thank you so much for continuing to listen. I really appreciate everybody's support and feedback, and I do this all for you. This is why I started this, because I want to share what I've learned personally through working with clients about being highly sensitive, things that can help us live the life that we want as comfortably as we possibly can. So I'm all about being a better version of ourselves than we used to be. So before I get into this episode, I wanted to let everybody know that I recently updated the pricing plans for the Reclaim app, which is the self-care and boundary setting app for highly sensitive people that I created. And with updating those price plans, I now offer a free 7-day trial for the whole app. So if that's something that you are interested in, if you want to just test it out, see what there is on the app on the paid plan, when you get into the app, you can go to the sign up section, little button all the way over to the left on the bottom, scroll down, and you will be able to pick the 7-day free trial for one of the subscription options. And if you just want to do the free trial, you can always go and cancel that paid plan. Like, it's not going to charge you until the 7 days are up. So that's a great way to test things out, see what you think about everything that's in the app, and if you like it. Sorry, my cat is trying to take all my stuff. If you enjoy what's there, then you can get the paid plan. And I really hope that you benefit from what's in the app. I keep adding things. My cat. Hi, Dexter. I keep adding things periodically because I really want it to be full of helpful tools for all of you. So that's what I have to say about that. And all right, so now this is what I wanted to talk about today. I've been thinking about this for several days, sort of, so I figured it would be good to do a little episode about generational patterns and breaking those, because in the past few years, I've found that this is a really big thing when it comes to a lot of people around my age. I think especially when you have a child, it sort of brings things up that you realize aren't yours, and you want to be a better parent than your parents were and than their parents were, and you want to undo things and do things differently with your kids. Even if you don't have kids, obviously you can still carry things within you, beliefs that have been passed down to you, that they're sort of just ingrained in you, and maybe they're not the most helpful. And so that's what I wanted to bring up today, because I've had a lot of clients over the past few years who have brought this up and are working on this. I myself have been working on this for many years, and of course continue now that I have a kid. More stuff comes up than before I had a child. So I think it's a really interesting thing to be able to be aware of things that are passed on through your ancestors, through your parents, from your grandparents, from their parents, grandparents. Who knows where it started? It's really interesting to me to learn more about my family, because then I sort of understand where things come from. Even maybe it's not where they originated, but it's a part of, the trickle down, I guess. And something very interesting to me recently, my grandmother, who was basically my only grandparent, I mean, she was the one that we were super close to. We weren't close with any of our other grandparents. And so she passed away in March, which was a very difficult time, obviously. And I realized that I didn't know as much about her as I wish I had. She was one of those people that asked questions to you all the time, like, when we knew we were going to see her, you sort of like have to prepare yourself for all the questions she might ask you. But she didn't really offer up information about herself, which I sort of have been like that too. I think I'm getting less like that, but I don't know where that came from for her or why that was. But I wish I knew more about her, and I of course can continue to learn more about her from my mom and things. But anyway, so she had written a book. Well, not written a book. It was like a fillable book to a grandchild that she had done several years ago. I think, I don't know, maybe even like 20 years ago, I think it was that she did it for me. And in the book, there was a section about your parents and what she loved most about her parents. And the one for her mom was blank. And I was like, ooh, that's not good. And so I told my mom that really stood out to me. And I was like, she didn't fill that out. And she said, yeah, she didn't have a good relationship with her mother. And I found that interesting because, first of all, I didn't know that. And I'm not really sure all of the details in that. But my mom, hopefully this isn't too much that I'm sharing that she'll feel uncomfortable. So sorry, Mom, if you're listening. But she didn't have a very good relationship with her mother until she was an adult. And then my mom and it was like really good or it was not great growing up. I feel like it sort of fluctuated between the two extremes, which then I brought to my romantic relationships for a while there when I was older, and that's how that works. But anyway, so we're very close now. We have a great relationship. We've really been able to resolve a lot of things and have much better communication with each other now that I'm an adult. But we didn't always have a great relationship. And with my daughter, I hope we always do. And of course, we won't always get along, but I hope that our relationship is consistently stronger as she grows up. And I can see that through each generation, even though it's only been a few that I've really been looking at, it does get a little bit stronger, the mother-daughter relationship. So that's something that I am hoping to not fix. I'm not really sure the word, but to something that I'm aware that exists, and I would like it to be better than it has been in the past with other people in my family. And so, yeah, that was just super interesting to me to find out. It's always so interesting to see where things come from in your family. Like my grandmother also wrote a lot of the things that she sort of clung to, like beliefs, like everything has to be like really clean and be on time. And that clearly was passed down from her mother. And so those are things, I mean, yeah, things just keep getting passed down through generations. And so take a look at your beliefs, especially if they don't feel good to you, or if they don't, like my cleanliness standard is definitely not probably what my great grandmother's was, because she was just very about, I think, appearances. Like she always looked so put together. And it sounds like she really was into like everything being very clean. I'm just not that type of person. I do have a certain standard that's probably higher than other people's, but it's just not how I prioritize my time, is making sure everything is spotless. That just doesn't work for me. So things like that, taking a look at beliefs that don't feel good to you or don't work with your life, or that just are not helpful to you, and sort of trying to figure out where those come from if you're able to. And it might not even come from your family. It could come from, I don't know, a teacher that you had, or experiences that you had with other kids or somebody else. Who knows? But it is so interesting how you can have a belief and just sort of be living by it, but it's really not yours. It came from somewhere. And I have found that I've had to like undo these things. I can't even think of any other examples specifically right now, but just being an adult and living with my husband and then just having a child, some things you just do automatically because that's what you sort of been conditioned to do. And sometimes it doesn't feel right to me. And I go, I don't have to do this. I don't have to live by this. Why am I doing this to myself? I can figure out what works better for me and create something new and different. And so I think that's a really big step in taking a hold of positive change and making positive change in your life and taking a step toward being closer to where you want to be, the version of you that you want to be, the version of your life that you want to live, is being aware of those beliefs that are not yours and being able to release them. And of course, easier said than done. But yeah, so if you are listening to this and breaking generational beliefs, habits is something that you are working on, I would love to hear about it. I think it's so interesting. I'm really big into the cognitive stuff, if you couldn't tell. And I think how you think, how you talk to yourself, your beliefs are so huge in really creating your reality, and you can change that to better suit who you want to be and how you want to live. And anyway, I feel like that's a whole another episode, but yeah, if you want to email me or if we're connected on Instagram, I would love to hear about how you're working on your generational beliefs, or what has come up for you from listening to this episode. And if you want to take a screenshot of this episode and share it on Instagram and tag me, I'm Self-Care with Lauren LaSalle on Instagram. That would be super cool. I will reshare it in my stories, and hopefully it will help other people find this podcast. So I think that's all for today, and I will see you next week.